Unexpected, unpredictable, but amazing. The NBA Conference Finals are here, and it's safe to say that 3 out of these 4 teams were for sure unexpected to be there. And we knew how good the Knicks were, the Pacers were, but we expected those 2 teams to run into the Cavs and Celtics and lose, and that's the opposite of what happened. Really, it was utter domination for the most part in terms of the Pacers series, but for the Knicks and the Celtics, the Knicks stole those first 2 games in Boston, and they just really didn't let up. They got blew out in game 3, of course, but Jalen Brunson, he continued to show why he is entering the conversation as potentially one of the greatest Knicks of all time. I don't think that's an exaggeration at all. I mean, if you look at the stats in this postseason, he's averaging nearly 29 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds. And in the series against the Boston Celtics, he averaged 26 points, 7 assists, and nearly 4 rebounds. So the Knicks, they're for real. And I think at this point, considering how these playoffs have went, there's not someone that we can necessarily say that, oh, I think they're for sure going to win it, because yes, OKC, they did almost win 70 games at a 68-14 regular season record, but also they had this first game against the Timberwolves only on 1 day of rest in game 1. That'll be interesting after the Timberwolves have been rested up after taking care of the Warriors in 5 games. I know a lot of people will probably bring up the point that yes, Steph Curry got hurt, and it sucks that he got hurt in that series, but ultimately the playoffs in all sports, but especially in the NBA, it's a game of attrition. Who can stay healthy? That works into determining who wins. In the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're in their 2nd straight conference finals. Anthony Edwards, he didn't necessarily have the best start to the Warriors series, but he finished off the series against the Warriors strong, and I think he's going to play up for that matchup, because we've heard some banter between Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander before.
It's hard to, man, with the calls that Shai gets. Can't touch him at any time of the game.
So I think it's going to be a really good and long series. The Thunder making the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2016. That series could go 7 games as well too. OKC just dealt with that 7 games against Denver. This could very well be a 7-game series before heading into the NBA Finals, whoever wins that matchup. But in terms of the Pacers and Knicks Conference Finals, that's going to be very intriguing, compelling, whatever adjective you want to use, because we're kicking it back to the 90s and early 2000s with this matchup. We know what Reggie Miller did against the Knicks back in the day, and the last time the Knicks made the conference finals was in 2000. I mean, I wasn't even born yet. I was born in 02, so it says a lot there. It's been a while, and the Knicks, they've been in purgatory for a while now. The past like 4 to 5 years, they've been competitive, making the playoffs and things like that, but they haven't reached this level since 2000. Now they have the opportunity to get to the NBA Finals, and it's going to be really crazy to see how it all unfolds. But I mentioned Jalen Brunson. He's been playing amazing this postseason, but definitely don't underestimate the Indiana Pacers, because with Tyrese Halliburton and overall the whole team, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Miles Turner, Rick Carlisle has been doing an amazing job coaching this team, and they're in their 2nd straight conference finals for a reason this year. So a lot of people shouldn't count them out. Tyrese Halliburton has most definitely made those players who anonymously voted him as the most overrated player in the league look foolish, because everything that he has done and the Pacers has done has been the opposite of overrated. In fact, the Pacers are probably the most underrated team left out of these Final 4 teams. If anything, you could kind of say in ways the Pacers have the upper hand over Knicks in terms of getting this far into the postseason like they did last year. Now, a lot of people might pick the Knicks to win. They have a lot of really good players. Obviously, Jalen Brunson, one of the best, I would say, at this point, 10 to 15 players in the league, especially how he has played this season and how he's continued to grow as an all-star in this league. But also Karl-Anthony Towns, he's one of the best big men in the league. That goes without saying. And then Mikal Bridges, what he has been able to do, a part of the Knicks in his first season, reunited with his college teammates in Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. They've been integral to winning in this postseason. Those 2 defensive stops that he had in game 1 and game 2 against Jaylen Brown and then Jason Tatum. And we know that Mikal Bridges, he's played in the finals before with Phoenix. Yes, they lost in 6 games against the Bucks in 2021, but he's been in a lot of different postseason matchups. So that's a huge weapon to have right there. And OG Anunoby, of course, he won in Toronto in the 2019 NBA Finals too. So I think that we're set for some really long conference final series, and it's going to be a good appetizer and teaser to what we will finally have in the NBA Finals. I know a lot of people from the past few postseasons weren't impressed with how the NBA Finals with, particularly with the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks that ended in 5 games. In the 2023 NBA Finals, the Nuggets and the Heat ended in 5 games as well. The last really good finals I think we had was probably when the Warriors won against the Celtics in 2022. But I think that we're going to even shape up for a better NBA Finals with now the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Timberwolves, and also the Pacers playing against the Knicks. And wow, we definitely know both, hopefully, knock on wood, should be really good for sure. Just think about it. Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they could have their first ring after this NBA playoffs are over. That's crazy. And especially Anthony Edwards too at 23 years old. That would be crazy, but I'm excited to for sure see who wins it. But before we get further into this video talking about really how unexpectedly amazing these playoffs have been, really better than what we bargained for, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss. Also on TikTok at SwaggyRuss02 for cooking videos, shorts, reels, all things of that nature. And let's talk about how fire these NBA playoffs have been. So I want to start off in the Western Conference and really talk about that OKC series, because yes, it ended up in a blowout. I mean, the Thunder won by 32 points literally, but for the most part, that series was really good. And before people say, oh, that determined the MVP, in my opinion, I thought Shai was the MVP a while ago. And I know a a lot of people would debate that, oh my gosh, Jokic averaged triple-double, things of that nature, all that stuff like that. But dude, it just goes without saying in my opinion, and this is his best opportunity so far to win a championship. I saw a lot of different people pick the Denver Nuggets to win that game against the Thunder, and rightfully so, because the Nuggets, they've been there and things like that. But this is a new year, clearly. The Celtics, they've been there, done that, and I know Tatum had that injury, but a lot of people picked them to win that series, and this will be the 7th year in a row that we will not have a repeat champion. I think that's a beautiful thing, because it's just showing furthermore how the NBA parity is getting better and better, and the whole league is getting better as a whole, making it harder to win and making it harder to bring back a dominant team to repeat. And I think it will happen again eventually, but maybe not anytime soon, maybe not within the next 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a new champion every single year, because these teams are consistently starting to add a lot of talent. And one crazy thing I will say though, the Oklahoma City Thunder, their 15-man roster, every single player is under contract next year as well too. So if they were to win a championship this year, you can make the argument that they might have the best chance to repeat. But like I said, teams continue to get better, so it's hard to do that. And like I mentioned in the intro, attrition is a huge thing. Teams have to stay healthy. But the Thunder, they have a great shot against the Timberwolves. Like I talked about it though, Anthony Edwards, he's going to play up for this matchup, because I think that after last year beating KD and Book in the first round, beating the Nuggets in the second round, this year beating the Lakers, Luka and LeBron, and beating the Warriors. I know Steph only played in game 1, only in the first half, but still beating the Warriors. He's going to want to beat the #1 seed, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have one of the best offensive ratings in NBA history this year, and defensive ratings this year as well too. He's going to want to beat that squad and show why he's the best young player in the league, why he in many cases should be considered a top 5 player in the game right now at 23 years old, which is insane to say. But Anthony Edwards, he's been on that type of role. I know he's had a couple of inefficient games, but it's a testament to the Timberwolves roster, players like a Julius Randle, who has stepped up tremendously this postseason when a lot of people didn't necessarily expect him to. We've seen the type of playoff performances he's had in the past with the New York Knicks, but in these playoffs, he's been really efficient, averaging 24 points per game, 6 rebounds and 6 assists, shooting essentially 51% from the field as well, and nearly 35% from 3. So he's been a huge help to Anthony Edwards. Naz Reid as well has been hooping, 6th man of the year last year in the 2024 season. Jaden McDaniels, one of the best defenders in the league too, stepping up huge. And Rudy Gobert, when a lot of people saw the playoff performance he had last year, they were really questioning why he had 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's maximized his value and showed why he has won 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards. And in this series against the Thunder, he's going to be integral. There's not going to be those situations where you have to sit him because of the matchup. I know they probably try to switch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to try to get an ISO on him too, but at the same time, you're going to have Rudy against a Chet Holmgren, against a Isaiah Hartenstein at times on a switch too. I just think that that bodes well for the Timberwolves, but also for the Thunder. And don't forget, we also got Cousins and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going against each other in the conference finals. This is amazing, guys. Like, this is what the NBA is for, these moments. And I think for sure we're going to be in for a long series on that side, but same thing goes for the Eastern Conference. I don't believe I mentioned this, but the Pacers have had a 42-16 record since January. If you put that in the vacuum in terms of like a first half of the season or something like that, you know, teams playing from October to the beginning of March or to mid-February, that in many seasons would have a team being like a first or second seed. And the Pacers, they started off slow this season, but they were able to get their rhythm, like I said, since January, and they have been hot ever since. They took care of the Bucks in 5, they took care of the Cavs in 5, and I know I've seen some people teeter on the Knicks side, and some have been on the Pacers side too. I think people are finally starting to give the Pacers credit for how they have continued to be consistent, and after last year's run that they had as well too, even though they lost to the Celtics in 4, we can also acknowledge that Tyrese Halliburton didn't play the final 2 games of that series too. I think that the Knicks and the Pacers both have great shots to win this series, and not only win the series, but shoot, if they had played against an Oklahoma City Thunder, for example, they would have a shot to beat them. And it would be crazy though also if the Knicks and the Timberwolves played against each other, because y'all all know Julius Randle, Karl-Anthony Towns, both traded for each other, both playing against their former teams in the NBA Finals. That would be a compelling storyline right there in itself. Also, not to mention Dante DiVincenzo, who was also included in that trade, who if not for the trade would have been reunited with all 3 of his teammates in Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Hart. He would want to have revenge in that potential finals matchup if the Timberwolves were to play against the Knicks. But even from another standpoint too, Isaiah Hartenstein, he was with the Knicks, and he could be playing his former team at the Thunder were to make the NBA Finals. And if you look at the Pacers series, Obi Toppin, he's playing against the Knicks, his former team that he was drafted to as well. So there's a lot of reunions. So I just think that whatever the matchup will be in the finals, it's going to be a beautiful matchup. I hope so. I certainly think so. Like I said, I hope it's not a bully type of matchup, but I don't think so. And I think the best thing we can pray for right now is everyone stays healthy, so we can see all 4 of these teams, the NBA Final 4, at full strength, so we can have a NBA Finals that we won't forget. Because I think the most memorable NBA Finals that we've had in the past decade, goes without saying, it's the 2016 NBA Finals. LeBron James, Cleveland Cavaliers, Kyrie Irving coming back from a 3-1 lead against the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to be on that type of level, but I think that we need that type of intrigue, that type of renaissance of the NBA Finals to truly keep the league from an interest standpoint as high as ever. A lot of people locked back in after the Luka Doncic trade, things of that nature, and now the Cooper Flag going to Dallas Mavericks, which is insane too. That's crazy. Yeah, I thought about making a video on that, but man, it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. But I think the league gets at an all-time high, and I think having an entertaining NBA Finals, whether it's 6-7 games where it's highly competitive and ultra competitive, that'll do nothing but help the league skyrocket even more, because the new collective bargaining agreement coming up, these players are going to be making nearly $70 million per year, which is insane to say. So we're living at an all-time high in the NBA, but I tie that back into why these playoffs have been even better than we expected, because this could be a beginning of a legendary era in terms of NBA Finals matchups, because every single season we see it, especially in the Western Conference, but even to a lesser extent in the East, these teams are getting super talented. And I mentioned that a second ago, but who saw the Houston Rockets being a second seed this year? And I know they lost in 7 games to the Warriors. Good experience for them for sure, but you never know if there's another team in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference that could take that type of leap next year. All it takes is some good offseason acquisitions and players improving to get a team that much better. And I'm not gonna lie, if OKC would have lost against the Denver Nuggets, I would have talked about in this video how we could have possibly seen Giannis potentially an avenue for him to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder, because we all know they have a plethora of picks. That would have been an intriguing thing to see, but hey, who knows? I mean, if the Thunder were to somehow lose, or even if they were to win it all, you could make the argument that they would still have enough confidence to make that type of trade, because they surely have the assets. But beyond that though, guys, I just think that these NBA playoffs have been great. They've been exactly what we've needed. A lot of statistical proof showed the NBA viewing level earlier this season was down, but I pray that we get a great conference finals, NBA finals from the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, and like I said, the NBA finals, so that the NBA just gets more intrigue and interest more than ever, and the league and the game continues to grow, because make no mistake, this is the best sport in the world, and we're seeing the highest level of basketball so far. The players are more talented, more athletic than they've ever been, and that's no disrespect to previous generations and things like that, but we've been watching a great playoff run, and the Pacers, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, and our Thunder, they have a great shot to win it all. I know for the team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're trying to get their first championship in NBA history. Same with the Indiana Pacers. The New York Knicks are trying to get their first title in 52 years. And then for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they won as a Supersonics in 1979, but I technically don't count that all the way, because the Thunder, they've been in the league essentially, they've been a whole new franchise since 2008. So that would mean a lot for their franchise too going forward and for the future, because like I said, a lot of these players are under contract for a while as well. So we're in store for a great time, guys. I'm excited. A new champion will be crowned in this 2025 NBA Finals and playoffs and postseason. And it's been great. So y'all let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts have been on these NBA playoffs so far. It's been great. It's an amazing time to be alive, and like I said, the best is yet to come, most definitely. So yeah, guys, y'all let me know in the comments down below who y'all have winning these conference finals matchups and then facing each other in the NBA finals, and even your finals predictions too as well too. It's gonna be a really good one. Y'all be blessed always, guys. Like I said, stay tuned for more videos and hit the like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications. More NBA content, more NFL content, all types of videos are on the way, guys. Y'all be blessed. Know that Jesus loves you. He has a great purpose for every single one of you guys, and y'all be blessed and y'all have a good one. Yes, sir.